And all right. Hello, everyone. We can make position. There we go. Welcome to Inside the GEFA week 6 or week 7, whichever week this is. I do not know. I'm Dana Morales. With me, as always, is Thor, Caleb. How are you boys doing on this beautiful Wednesday night?
Can't complain, my guy.
Doing pretty good.
Awesome. And back from us after a 3-week hiatus is your favorite president and my favorite president, Mr. James Simonson. Take it away, good sir.
All right, I just want to welcome everybody back for another episode. A couple things we wanted to go over today. We wanted to go over obviously the games that were, the games that are, and also wanted to go over where we're at with the standings, what the playoff implications look like, so you guys get an understanding of what's going on with the league, where we seem to be at, so forth and so on. So yesterday we had some news. Um, Yesterday I put in motion my very first executive order since I became president of this league back in 2019. This executive order states that any incidents that happen on social media that spills onto the fields on game day, those involved will be immediately banned from the league, and the teams they play for could face severe sanctions and possible removal from the league. Lately, we've had an incident where a player was going into another player's messenger, threatening him and his girlfriend. At no point is that football. Conversations like that just don't stay in messenger. They lead to altercations when those people see each other in person, which is usually at a game or on game day. I enacted this order to be proactive in that situation in case it does spill out onto the field, rather than being reactive after seeing what could possibly happen. This is not me trying to control any non-affiliated GEFA groups, rather than controlling the actions of the person when it spills out onto the field and when it becomes no longer football. Just because the group isn't affiliated with the GEFA does not mean that its actions outside of that group should not be held accountable. When you are at a league event or a game, those behaviors cannot be tolerated. Last week, I had a Zoom meeting with my head officials in which they stated that it was nice to have a meeting about rules rather than behaviors this year. I intend to keep it that way. We've lost some teams over the past couple of years, not because we wanted to, but because we had to for the greater good of the league. Week after week, we had referee reports about the same teams over and over again, dealing with their behaviors, and nothing changed. So instead of keeping them into the league and keeping them in their league contract and allowing it to happen over and over again, we let them breach and go elsewhere. Like I've said many times before, it's not about having as many people on the bus as possible. It's about having the right people on the bus. And that's something we're taking seriously and moving forward so we can keep this under control and have a better experience. Thor, you have anything to add to that?
I mean, I understand the perspective that players have when they want to be able to say, we can do what we want. There's no repercussions. I understand that it's very important to have players, to have the great players that we do in this league participate in this league in order for this league to happen. But there are also other levels. There have to be good coaches, and there have to be good owners, and there needs to be good board members working on and keeping, the direction of the league heading the right way. And so it affects more than just the players. And, we've been preaching to teams for years about not only being more accountable for the things that happen around their program, but to be more proactive to try to eliminate the issues and stuff that put what we do at risk. And You can't just expect ownership and teams to do that because there's things that are happening cross teams and within the league as a whole, and we've got to do something. I mean, I know there's going to be the people that are mad that are like, this is ridiculous, but there's going to be a lot of people in this league that don't want the extra stuff, that really just want to play football and enjoy the good things that this brings, that keeps drawing us all back, that are going to say, I'm glad that people are taking the actions to start making this safer and more enjoyable. I mean, the saddest things I've heard in this league are when people tell me that they love to play this game in this league, but they can't bring their family to a game because they don't know what'll happen and that kind of stuff. And fortunately, I've never seen anything dramatic happen, but being proactive is what stops that. So, I mean, we got to do something.
All right, Danny, you want to take us into the games?
All right, so now we're going to discuss the games from last week, then we're going to go into the games from next week, go into some playoff implications. Going to be a lot of fun. James, what games are we starting off with
Let's
first?
start with Indiana County Crusaders traveling to the Central PA Legends. That game was a forfeit. Legends get a 62-0 win. Crusaders drove 4 hours with 11 guys and then decided that they didn't want to play. From what I was told was they watched the Legends work out, and then they got all their players together to have a meeting, and then one of their owners came over and said they did not want to play, and that the players didn't want to play. They took a vote and started packing up their stuff.
I mean, I'm just going to chime in a little bit here. I've seen teams do it before. Not show up with 11 and not play. I'm talking about show up with 11 and play. All right. There are some teams that if I was in that situation, I'd be like, man, this could be bad. But the Legends are really a good group of dudes. Like, knowing them, if things were that bad, in order to be able to play football, even though the game probably wouldn't have been official, they probably would have even slid some of their backup guys that are behind in some of the reps that they want to make sure that they could play. I mean, those guys just love the game, and I don't know where communication happened between them and how many of the 11 could play on the line, if anybody could snap the ball, those kinds of things. You know what I mean? I don't know that, but that's tough because, I mean, driving 4 hours home after an ass whooping sucks. But I couldn't even imagine what driving 4 hours home after driving 4 hours there to forfeit would be. That would be tough.
Yeah, I've been on both sides of this as a player. I was on a team that played with 8, 9, 10 guys. I've been on a team that showed up with 8 guys, and right before kickoff, the team decided that they didn't want to play. I was not a part of that decision, but it definitely sucks when you have to make that walk to the other side of the field and say we're not going to play. I wish they would have played. Um, yeah, I mean, they probably would not have won, honestly, but it looks better if you did play the game as opposed to now going 4 hours watching your opponents warm up and then saying, "Oh, we're out." It's just
At some
it's a
point, you
bad
have
look.
to, before you even consider forfeiting, you got to be able to exhaust every single avenue before that becomes your only choice. Like what they should have did was say, hey, we're shorthanded. We only have 2 linemen or whatever. What can we do to get this game on? And is it okay even if we just play for a half or something? At least do something, not just say, you know what, we're not playing.
Right.
Because,
Mercy rule off the gate. Something.
yeah, let's do a running clock out the gate and just
No
let's just
special.
worry about not getting injured and just get it over with.
Now, I wonder if they knew they were only going to have 11 guys.
From what I was told, they thought they were going to have 20 guys go there and only 11 showed up. I mean, like Fenderson just said in the chat, like that decision, if they were going to forfeit or even thought they could have, I'm getting on the phone with all my guys. Hey, where we're at, where are we going with this the night before? And then I'm making the decision before I leave. I'm not driving 4 hours.
And paying for the refs still because they already showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just, it's a terrible look. Absolutely terrible look.
Like that wasn't handled the right way at all. And even when I was talking to the refs and all that stuff, and I asked them, I'm like, what can we do to get this game on? And all I heard from the Crusaders is, oh, the guys are done. They're not playing. So you pretty much drove 4 hours to tell the legends in person that they
Yeah,
like it's
that could have been a phone call if that was going to be the case.
yeah, like it's all of the refs aren't cheap. I'm sure the field wasn't cheap.
Mm-mm.
Now you're taking a, a fine for forfeiting on top of all that money you have to reimburse that other team because they thought they were going to have a game. Not only is it not fair to the other team, it's not fair to the fans either that showed up to watch football. On top of the gas that they paid to drive 4 hours just so they could say they're not going to play a game.
Yeah, just the worst look. Just thinking about it's getting me upset. Every time we add something onto it, it compounds the situation.
There's always ways to deal with it, and not always they're not always handled the best. All right, what one do you want to move on to next? Buffaloes, Wolves.
Yeah, we can move on to Buffaloes and Wolves.
Yeah, all right. This one was at the Wolves. Uh, Bedford County 152-40.
Good win for Bedford County. They really needed this one, and pretty close game throughout. Uh, you can just see the growth from the Wolves all season long. The way they were able to move the ball, get in the end zone. The Wolves the Buffaloes resilient all game long. Just playing like they needed this one, playing their heart out for this one. A very good win for them.
Yeah, I mean, going into this, we got a chance to talk to a couple of the Wolves players. We talked about them having a little bit of momentum coming off their win against Indiana County, and we're curious what was going to happen. I mean, the Buffaloes, like we said, don't have a lot of wins, and a lot of numbers in the win column there, but they've had a lot of close games. and they're a solid football team. I know they had to travel, but I mean, this is a 2-score game. This is, we know in the GEFA, like obviously you get the win, but 2-score game means a couple of small things happen. It could have flipped the opposite direction, and that definitely shows some of the improvements and stuff that the Wolves are making.
I mean, years past, I've seen a 20-some point lead disappear in less than 3 minutes. So
Right.
fucking cyclones.
Knew exactly what you were talking about too when you started.
Yep.
I don't know. The Buffaloes are struggling. They're obviously not the same team as last year. They're in a full rebuild year. They don't have the offensive line and defensive line that they're used to having. Levi does not look comfortable at all anymore. Um, so this is not what you are used to seeing from a Bedford County team. But they're doing what they got to do to win games, and it's not many, but they're learning on the fly as they go. Now the Wolves, on the other hand, they're extremely young. They're just still getting their feet wet, trying to move along, and I feel like they're still trying to find their identity, which it takes times, especially with newer teams, your newer core, it's not going to happen overnight. So this game was exactly what both teams needed to be able to grow mid-season.
As far as the Wolves' identity, I really do like their passing game. I think this kid Chris Cruz at quarterback can be very good. Like I said last week, his play can be a little bit sporadic because some of the great throws you'll see, he'll follow that up with something back across the other side of the field. Just blows your mind. Like, why would you do that? I think that's just, part of being young as well. Another year after the season, give another year to recruit, grow then at offense, and then with that team, I think the Wolves can be something coming into next season possibly. I don't know how much more winning they'll do this year. They might luck into another game or two, but I think they're really building something right now with what is perceived a struggling season.
All right, let's get into Comanche traveling to the Tomahawks. Comanche win to go 6-0, 44-30.
Did you guys get a chance to watch this one?
No.
No, it
The film was jumbled.
sure was.
It was like one team would punt, and then the other team would have it on third down, and then the other team would be like on second down.
Yeah. They would be there was a clip where the Tomahawks fumbled a snap. I think they lost like 20 yards. And then it jumps right back to they have the ball at the same spot where they just lost all the yards from. I don't know what happening with the editing of this film. Usually Tomahawk film is very good. This one just I don't know what happened. It was a tough to watch, but from what I could gather, I feel like they both teams played each other pretty tough. Just that Comanche running game is just tough to stop. And then, I've said all year long the Tomahawks play with a lot of heart. They play 100%, play very physical. That's a tough run game to stop.
Yeah, right now the Comanche are clicking on all cylinders, and they quite arguably, it could be said that they have the best O line in GEFA right now, and they are they're clicking. Granted, it's still regular season, but mid-season, they're clicking. And I don't think the Tomahawks, especially the last two games, especially with them and the Legends and now with the Comanche, I don't think they've played a um full game where they didn't have any kind of issues. It's they start off good, they look like they're clicking, and then all of a sudden the wheels fall off and they're starting to scramble and everything else. I mean, they're young as well.
Yeah, it feels like one or two mistakes happen. You know, you're not quite out of the game yet. They feels like they're trying to play to make up for the mistake immediately, and then it starts to snowball from there.
All right, let's get into the last one. Wilpo traveling to the Vikings. Vikings win 64-38, ending their two-game skid.
That it did.
Talk about it, Thor.
I mean, first off, Williamsport definitely traveled light. They accommodated the fact that our officials needed this to be a later game. I don't know how many people didn't come because of the time. I heard one guy's had some family and that went into some emergency surgery, and they had some pieces that we expected them to have but didn't have. But they still came to play. That young quarterback they have, he's got some wheels on him. I feel like, you know, they were still successful putting up points. Now, to be honest with you, obviously we rotated really deep on our end. But you know, they played the game start to finish. You know, like they were trying to win. You know, there's teams out there that'll get an ass whooping in that fourth quarter. You can tell they're just trying to get through it. And I don't feel like that's what Williamsport did. They came out and kept trying to grind. You know, they had a running back that was pretty physical. But again, missing those pieces really left them from being able to be as explosive as their offense has the ability to be. So I don't know. We controlled the game off the get. I believe we scored every single offensive drive. It was like 6 or 7 rushing scores, 2 through the air. Our rushing game was pretty strong, and we picked up some big yards and we're able to seal the deal, you know, again with our running game. So I think that, you know, you get those pieces back and you get some games in Williamsport, they could definitely throw a wrench in somebody's plans over the course of the rest of this season. I think they have a big game coming up this week, and you know, we'll see what they put together. But we came out with a win, and 4-2, baby, 4-2.
Yeah, I feel the same way about you about how this game went. I think you guys controlled it from the start, especially up front with the running game. It was at will. Basically, you guys are running the ball. Not having pieces definitely hurt. I think Isaiah Hankins played well given what he had to deal with at quarterback. He made some pretty damn good throws, and he missed a few throws. Just without some of those bigger pieces, like you said, it kind of limited the explosiveness that they have on offense. That maybe if they had those guys, we could be talking about a different story with the score of this game. But yeah, about Williamsport with what they had played well. You guys played much better.
Yeah, I think um, with Wilpo being light and all that stuff, that was a game that they really shouldn't have been light on. That had a lot of implications, and it just to
Yeah,
see something like that, it just
we showed up that day expecting Williamsport to show up and throw everything they had at us. Like just looking at the playoff standings and chances and stuff like that, I felt like this was a really important win for Williamsport to get. I mean, it was for us too, but I figured it was even bigger for them with um, some of the big games they still have on their schedule. So we'll see what they pull off. They've done some crazy stuff in the past.
like what?
This
Like they,
guy.
you know,
This guy.
yeah,
Yeah, this
I'll
guy
say
knows.
it happened. They beat 2-9-1 teams as an underdog and went to the championship and they lost there, but still they ended 2-9-1 teams seasons. Um, and again, both games they were the underdog, and they're just one of those teams that if they have a game to play and they get the right people to show up at the right time, they're a hell of a team. So
All right, Caleb, you want to go over the standings as we are midway through the year?
All right, sitting at the top, the Comanche is 6-0. Legends holding down a 2 spot at 5-1. Vikings holding down a 3 spot, 4-2. Tomahawks at the number 4 with 3-3. Wildcats at the number 5 spot, 3. Buffaloes at the 6th spot with 2-4. Wolves, number 7, 1-5. And rounding out the end here at number 8 is the Crusaders. They are 0-5.
All right, so let's get into the games this week coming up. I don't know if you guys got any guests or anything. I didn't.
We
You
did
guys
not.
say anything?
I didn't book any guests.
I booked no guests for today. I knew we were going to talk about standings more, and then we wanted to approach on James or touch on James' executive order there. So this week I did not.
All right, so let's start off with Comanche traveling to the Crusaders.
Oh,
I mean, the only question is who's more among us here on the guests. Clearly, I'm taking the Comanche, as I assume everyone's going to. I have 70-6. This is just assuming that we got a game this week. I don't
There'll
know
be
that
a
there's anything.
game.
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything the Crusaders are going to do to slow them down at all. And I'm guessing running clock at some point early on. Comanche roll the.
yeah, I got the Comanche winning this too. I really hope there's like a regrouping going on. I like to go and look at free agent pickups and transactions and stuff that are happening, and it looks like Drew's trying to make some moves to be able to finish out the season with as much strength as possible. But I don't think he's going to be able to bring an answer in to battle against the team sitting at number 1 right now. And I'm picking the Comanche to win this game 66-6.
You want to give somebody another point there, real quick?
No, I think that
He's gonna roll 3 6s.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, Caleb.
yeah, I think I'm going to stick with that.
Who's next?
I guess I'll go. I don't see the Comanche losing anytime soon. I think they're just too good of a team. I'm gonna go Comanche 62, whoever they're playing 6, in honor of Lilo and Stitch coming out in a couple weeks. Experiment 626.
Solid.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna say the Comanche are gonna put a thumping on them. As much as I hate to say it, I don't think the Crusaders have any answer for that run game, and I don't think they're gonna get much from that against that Comanche defense. I'm gonna say best case scenario 76-0.
And that's the best case. What the hell is the worst case scenario?
The best case for the Crusaders is 76-0.
And what's the worst case for the Crusaders?
Really not even worth thinking about, honestly.
A lot worse in the score.
Okay.
All right, next game. Vikings traveling to Lehigh Valley. Last time Mova's been in that area, it was Easter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to go there either.
I am unaware of this. What happened?
Easter
Commonly,
miracle.
yeah, commonly referred to by James only really is the Easter miracle, where the Vikings traveled to the then Diamondbacks. Was it Diamondbacks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monroe
Thor-
County Diamondbacks and got
Thor,
snaked.
yeah. Thor's like, yeah, I know. I think it was a makeup game over the weekend that got postponed early in the season, and Diamondbacks won the game in a very sloshy field.
Could this happen again?
No.
Thor, how'd that feel?
It was bullshit.
You only said that because you lost, bro.
It's still bullshit.
Got those cheeks clapped.
We lost by 2 points.
They should have lost it all.
Well, yeah, but I
They
wouldn't go
still
with
did.
cheeks clap shit.
It
Damn.
was Niagara Falls, Frankie. All right, so Caleb, what do you got on this game?
I've been down on the score on this one because I assume the Vikings are going to be at full strength for this one. At the Wolves. I like the progress I've seen from the Wolves this year, but I'm talking about a Vikings defensive line. I think this might be probably maybe the second best defensive line they'll see this year. And I don't really trust that offensive line for the Wolves. Might be being a little generous on the score, but I do have the Vikings winning. Vikings 56, Wolves 36.
What'd you say was the score?
Vikings. Oh, sorry, James.
56 to 36.
Oh. 56-36.
Yeah, I might be generous on that score for the Wolves, but never know.
I
I
think
can
it's
already hear Thor. I mean,
Some Eastery things have happened before.
It's not fucking Easter.
Thor. What's your take?
My take is always row the ship, baby. Vikings always.
until that Titanic theme starts playing.
I'll go down with the ship if I got it.
Well, which one? Near my God to thee or frickin' that Celine Dion? My heart will go on, BS.
My heart will go on, Danny.
Okay. Because
Back
fun
in the
history fact, according to legend, near my God to thee was the song that played as the Titanic sank.
I thought
Yes. And that's also the on-air song that plays when the apocalypse happens on TV.
Yes. Oh, you've seen that too?
All right.
Fun
Focus.
fact. A fun
right.
fact about the old days of the podcast when the Vikings would lose, James would play that song at the end of the show.
And it's usually by a kazoo.
What, near my God to thee, or my heart will go
My
on?
heart will go
Celine
on.
Dion.
Ah,
All right, Danny,
okay.
pick your score.
All right. Just a fun Titanic fact. Vikings 48, Wolves 42.
The disrespect.
I'm going to say 62-12 Vikings.
The disrespect to the Wolves.
Not disrespect if it's honest.
Are we ready for the game of the week?
Game of the week.
Game of the week.
Let's do it.
No, it's not game of the week. Central PA Legends traveling to Bedford County
Oh,
Oh,
Buffaloes.
yeah, not game of the week yet.
oh yeah.
Nope.
Pump your brakes.
Oh, I thought
Oh,
for some reason I thought we picked
oh.
this one already. I don't know what I'm thinking.
You're not wrong there, little bucko.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking we picked this one already.
I was just
He
following.
literally just said that, Danny.
I know. I was trying to be a smartass.
Thank you, Echo. All right.
Uh, I'll go first again. Legends too much for the Buffaloes. I know this is at home. The Buffaloes have not played great at home. They don't have a single win at home yet. And this is going to be a pissed off Legends team after what just happened this past weekend.
I think they had one win at home against the Crusaders.
That was at the that was at the Crusaders.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Winless at home.
Hmm.
They don't have the depth. I think the Legends are going to run all over them. I got score Legends 63, Buffaloes 24.
I don't know. I mean, we've seen these Buffaloes at home come out and lead a game at halftime 3 times. I just don't think it'll happen again. I'm pretty close to you though. I would say Legends 62, but I still think the Buffaloes put up 28.
I don't think the Buffaloes are gonna do anything. Bedford County, I hope you prove me wrong, but for now, from what I've seen from the Buffaloes, from what I've heard about the Legends, Legends 62, Buffaloes, zilch.
Ouch. The dagger.
Prove me wrong, Buffaloes. Prove me. I'll tell you what. You guys win, I'll pick y'all next week. Tell
Oh,
you that right now. You
oh,
guys win, I'll pick y'all next week.
cha-cha.
No, tell you what. Tell you what. Buffaloes. You guys know what how big of a New York Giants fan I have. I am. I just got a Philadelphia Eagles jersey in the mail. If you guys win next week, I will wear that jersey live on the podcast next week.
Good bet.
All right. I'm going to say Legends 64, Buffaloes 44.
Yeah, I think this one speaks more to the defense of the Buffaloes. They're not very good up front. They don't have a lot of depth. They're going to get worn down. We've seen it all season long where, like Thor said, they've gone into halftime with a lead. They just can't hold it. They get worn down. And this is going to be a Legends team that's well rested. It could get
It's
ugly.
actually very angry.
Oh yeah, very angry.
All right. Now, the game of the week. Tomahawks traveling to Wilpo.
This is
Either team can afford to lose this game.
Huge for both teams.
I was back and forth on this one. I don't know about you guys. I was back and forth because if it's in Williamsport, there's gonna be a full strength Williamsport team, I assume. And we just talked about the Tomahawks' ability to play late in the games and then maybe get worn down, make some mistakes. I'm gonna say the Tomahawks play a clean one here. I say they not only get the lead, they hold it for the entire game. And I think it's gonna be a closer game than people might think either way. They got to find a way to make some stops. I think that defensive line is very good. They're very physical. They're very quick. I don't think Williamsport's offensive line can hold up for 4 quarters of fast physical football. I got Tomahawks 42, Wildcats 36.
So I got it a close game, but I think this game is a shootout. I think they rack up the score here quite a bit. I think we might be looking more at like a 60-54 game. I mean, both offenses have the ability to score and be explosive, especially if Williamsport gets the people back there missing this week. It's just who do I think scores that extra touchdown? You know what? We all can't keep picking the same. I'm going to go Williamsport 60, Tomahawks 54.
Tomahawks 50, Williamsport 48.
I'm gonna say Will Poet as well. Mostly because it's at home. If it was at Tomahawks, I'd probably say Tomahawks. But I'm gonna say 60-58.
Williamsport has an uncanny home field advantage, man. They just do. It's really odd.
It's definitely a famous home field advantage for sure. We used to say things get a little spooky at night at Rec Park. Things at Williamsport get just straight up weird sometimes.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a hell of a game.
Lee Fenderson says 64-56 Tomahawks.
Yeah, I mean,
Good job, Lee.
it could go either way, man. Isaiah Edwards and Rob Elbro and Timmy back as a trifecta on that offense just really open up a lot of explosive ability. But Williamsport just got their ass kicked, and they tend to respond to that. And if they get JR back, so I believe he was somebody that was gone because of a medical emergency with a family member, and it's a week they get you walk on the field, man. That's tough.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough to protect Hankins though, the quarterback. If they can get him uncomfortable and scrambling around off time, off rhythm and stuff, then I think they're going to struggle in the passing game. I mean, yeah, he'll still make throws. He might make runs. He's at his best when he's in the pocket, able to make a decision whether he wants to throw or run. If you're forcing him to do either one, that offense tends to break down a little bit, and that's where mistakes come from. And I think that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, I mean, when Williamsport played the Buffaloes, not of course not this past weekend, but the weekend before last, you can see on film they switch over after halftime, and JR comes in at quarterback. And the same offensive line that was struggling, JR was able to find time because the way that he can move around and make things work. And again, if that happens and they're able to use Hankins in their offense in another way, they have, like I said, they have high scoring ability.
Can't wait to see this one.
All right,
Always got it.
let's get into playoff implications. So here's the point standings as follows for the playoffs right now. Granted, we're only 7 weeks into this. So still a lot of football left to be played once we get back, especially once we get back into conference play for a second time around. Right now, the Comanche leads all points for playoff implications with 12.8 points. Legends are in second place with 11. Vikings are in third with 9.7. Tomahawks are in fourth with 8, but the Wildcats right behind them at 7.6. So this game is, you might as well call this a playoff game. Buffaloes are in sixth with 6 points. Wolves at seventh with 4.7, and the Crusaders are at the bottom with 3.
Even a single loss for them completely upends any hopes whatsoever.
Yeah, they could get in, but they need a lot of help. But like you said, they control their own destiny. Depending on what goes on with this Wilpo Tomahawks game, one team may need more help than others. From not just themselves, but from other teams as well.
So for people listening, what's our second tiebreaker? So say we end up in a situation where the Comanche win the rest of their games except for the game versus the Legends. They both have the same record. They both played the same opponents, and they both beat each other once. What do we go to at that point?
I don't know offhand. I wasn't ready for that question. I know it's in the owners group. I got to look at it.
Yeah, because points is gone, and then head-to-head is gone. Or sorry, like overall points, not scoring points is gone, and then head-to-head is gone. So then does it become your point average? You know what I mean? I think that might be where that comes in as the third tiebreaker. Like your points for and your points against.
Yeah, the point differential, you mean?
Correct.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a good one if that's not what it is.
I believe that's what it is. We'll have to go back and double check. But
I think it's head-to-head is 1, 2 is common opponents, 3 is points. Like differential. Winning percentage of common opponents, I think is 1.
which would be exactly the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go find that in the owners thing. You had all week to ask me that question, so I could look it up for you, and you would have been too.
It just popped in my mind when you started talking about the scores at the end, and I was like, hold on a second. We're still staring down the barrel of the possibility of a major tie at the top.
I mean, when you go through the point system, it's what you guys got to realize is every time a team wins, they get 100 points. What people don't understand is, like, say you beat the Buffaloes week 1, you got 100 points from them, and you get 10 additional bonus points every time they win a game. So right now you got 120 points just off the Buffaloes alone. Tomahawk, same thing. You beat the Tomahawks, so you got 100 points off the Tomahawks, and they have 3 wins right now, so you got a total of 130 points off the Tomahawks. Crusaders haven't won yet, so you got 100 points just off the Crusaders. Now, even with the loss, you still get additional points. Like when you lost to the Legends have 5 wins. So you got 10 bonus points for every one of their wins. So you got 50 points, even though you lost. Same thing with the Comanche. You got 60 points, even though you lost. Wildcats 2 and 3. You just beat them. You got 120 points for that. So right now you're sitting at 580 points total. Once you divide that by how many games you played, that's how you got your 9.7. So a lot of factors can happen to prevent a tiebreaker, because you may win against a certain team and another team could lose to them and get and granted you'll get the more points from them, but then you could lose to a team and they could win against a team and which has a better record than the team that you beat,
Right.
and get more points off of that way. So it's kind of like at the end of the day, it's going to be strength of schedule.
Yeah, I think with us, in order for the Tomahawks to jump us, we'd have to lose 2 of our remaining 4 games while they continue to win.
Mm-hmm. They would probably have to win all 4 games, and you would have to lose at least 2 of them.
For us to flip 3rd and 4th.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tomahawks still have on their schedule. I know they have.
You, Buffalo's Crusaders, Wilpo.
Yep. And Crusaders is a good chance that they win. Buffaloes came down to the wire for them. So, yeah. I mean, as much as we want to say this game might be more important for Williamsport, it's just as important for the Tomahawks.
Right.
But the schedule remaining for the Wildcats to bump them is pretty tough. They still have to play the Comanche again,
The Legends again.
So they have Tomahawks, Legends, Comanche. I don't know if Williamsport's played the Crusaders yet.
They got them coming up the following week after this one.
All right, so
Yeah,
that
it should be Crusaders, Comanche, Legends, Wolves.
it's also going to depend on how they rebound. If they don't rebound well and they try to play the Wolves beat down towards the end of the season, that could be a game they slip too. We'll just have to see what Williamsport does this week. It's make or break time.
Speaking of Williamsport, I saw something in the chat that I want you guys' opinion on. If Williamsport loses this week, is their season on life support? Because Heck Walking thinks so.
Not only life support, but I think there's a feeding tube.
Yeah, the schedule this from here on out for Williamsport doesn't get any easier. Like James said, they'll have the Crusaders after this, but then it's Legends, Comanche, and Wolves to finish up the season. Every game having to be must win. So really got to pick this one up.
Yeah, the fortunate thing for Williamsport is they're one of those teams that didn't play week 0. So even though they've been in a little bit of a tough spot, they still have that extra game to play than several of the other teams have.
As far as the Tomahawks are concerned, aren't able to win this game with Williamsport. 3 games to go after that. Potentially all 3 are winnable games. Crusaders, Buffaloes, and then they finish up with you and the Vikings. We know how that first meeting went in Mifflin County. But yeah, each team needs to win this very badly. And then, if not, then yeah, like each team season is on life support.
Yeah, I think if Mifflin County wins this game, they can still even lose another game and still potentially end up in the 4th seed.
Yeah, the remaining schedule favors them more than Williamsports does. But I cannot wait to see this one. Do we got anything else on the docket tonight?
I don't.
Or else you guys want to talk about?
Mm-mm.
I think we hit all the big stuff. I
You
think
guys don't have anything, I don't.
I think that's the show then.
I think that's it.
All right, Danny, wrap us up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to another week of Inside the GEFA. We know you could have spent a lot of other ways to spend an hour of your Wednesday night, but we're thankful that you chose to spend it with us. My
Jeez.
name is Danny Morales, and for James, for Thor, for Caleb, I don't know. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Later.
Peace.
Peace.